Last week it was Korea's national holiday, and I'm sure you know what day it is. Hello everyone! From dramas to webtoons to novels, explore Korea's story with us. This is Who Reads Story. My name is An Sung-jin and I'm a news reporter. And today we have another guest back with us. We have two guests. We have cats roaming around the studio, so if you hear any noises or meowing, that's our guest. And obviously, Jack, you are our guest as well. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. I'm Jack Greenberg. I'm a writer and researcher, and I'm focused on modern Korean history, politics of memory. Thanks for having me back.
Right, as we see with our notes, we have quite a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
And today what we're going to be talking about is a couple of days ago, last week, it was Korea's national holiday, and I'm sure you know what day it is. Today, in remembrance of the National Liberation Day in Korea, we will be talking about a special piece by poet Yoon Dong-ju, which is titled Sky, Wind, Stars, and Poems. Do you know of poet Yoon Dong-ju himself?
Yeah, of course. So he was actually born in the Gando region of Manchuria.
Right.
He spent only 4 years in Korea itself. So he embodied the national sentiment, both in his widely accessible works, but also in the life that he lived. And his life is something that people can relate to, whether they're in China, in Japan, or in Korea. So he became a national poet, not because of where he was rooted, but because his poetry and his choices, they really spoke to the collective experience of the Korean people.
Right.
And then in 1943, he ended up in Fukuoka prison in Japan with his cousin, Song Myung-gyo.
Right. Which is where
the two of them both passed away only a few months apart. And that kind of shows the harshness of the colonial experience.
He had passed away at a young age of 28. And because this year also celebrates the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japan, I guess it's a little bit more meaningful to talk about the piece that's been written by him.
Yeah.
Now, the book that we will be talking about today is, again, Heaven and Wind and Stars and Poem. As you can see over here, we have the physical copy with us. Now, this actually hasn't been published while he was alive, so it wasn't published during his lifetime. And 1 out of the 3 handwritten copies have survived only, and it was published in 1948. And as we talked about before, you know, titles have changed, but the meaning itself still comes through.
Right. You know, he wrote most of his poems for himself. Maybe he shared them with a few close friends and acquaintances, but he wasn't really trying to impress anyone with his writing. He was, you know, in his own mind, trying to make sense of a dissonant world.
And now today we're going to be talking about 3 pieces, 3 of his most representative pieces within this book. And the first one is Forward. In Korean, it is translated, it is 서시. In English, it's Forward. And I will be reading it out loud. So these were all what my notes were for. The first poem is Forward. Wishing not to have so much as aspect of shame toward heaven until the day I die. I suffered even when the wind stirred the leaves. With my heart singing to the stars, I shall love all things that are dying, and I must walk the road that has been given to me. Tonight, again, the stars are brushed by the wind. Now, it's the first time I've read it in English because in freshman, as we go into college, all the freshman entries are given a book by Yoon Dong-ju. So I've read it then in Korean, but it's the first time actually reading it out loud in English. Now, for you, Jack, what was it like reading it?
Yeah, it's different for me. I think for Koreans, it's something that are kind of familiar with. You mentioned getting a copy of it. I think many will also have encountered it in high school, maybe.
It is kind of a must-read book.
But I think, you know, being the first poem in this anthology, it really sets the tone for it. And it gives us some insights into Yoon's self-resolve and the kind of person that he was and also wanted to be. He aspired to seek the truth, to act with kindness towards others, and really to go through his life inflicting no harm. He wanted to be somebody who could hold his head high and live without shame. So reading it, you really get a sense of his inner discipline and his moral clarity as well. You know, how he measured himself not by outward success, but by whether he remained faithful to to the ideals that he held himself accountable to. So in that sense, I think when we look back at his life now, he really did fulfill his ambition. He stayed true to his principles until the very end, and he refused to compromise, even in very difficult circumstances. So I think what this poem does is it encourages the reader to really reflect on their own values and the kind of person they want to be and the kind of life they want to lead. And I think the next poem that I'll read kind of speaks even more to that. So the one I'm going to read is called Self-Portrait. And coming round the mountain, I go up alone to the solitary well at the edge of the rice field and peer in quietly. Inside the well, the moon is bright, the clouds flow by, the sky spreads, and a light blue wind blows. Autumn is there, and a man is there. I turn away because I hate the man somehow. Pondering over him as I set out to leave, I feel sorry for him, and I go back and look in. He is still there. Again, I turn away, hating the fellow. I think of him again, setting out, and begin to miss him. Inside the well, the moon is bright, the clouds flow by, the sky spreads out, a light blue wind blows. Autumn is there, and a man like a memory. And that was written in September 1939.
Right, so I guess the I within the person, the narrator himself, is probably the poet himself, Yoon. And it's interesting to see how, while you were reading it, the lines say, as if he's almost pitying him and he resents and even misses himself. What do you think all these emotions that he is trying to portray all imply?
Again, this was written during his college years, and outwardly, this was a very productive period for him as a poet. He was making new connections, he was encountering people in the literary scene, but outside in the world, everything was not good and at peace. It was when assimilation policies were being ratcheted up and Japan was becoming ever more aggressive. So, it was a time of personal growth, like I said, yet he remained unsettled, despite this appearance of calm and achievement. So I think it really captures how he was continuously being tested by conflicting values and his own struggle for self-understanding as well as self-acceptance.
Now, lastly, the poem that I will be reading is One Night I Count the Stars, and it's quite a lengthy poem, relatively, so I will be reading just the first paragraph of the poem itself. One night I count the stars. The sky that the seasons pass through is filled with autumn. I feel as though I can count without trouble all the stars in the depths of autumn. The reason I cannot now count all the stars being etched in the depths of my heart, one and two at a time, is that morning comes too soon. Night still remains until tomorrow, and my youth is not yet spent.
Yeah, the idea of counting stars in one's heart, it's kind of a very romantic expression, but I think for Yoon it's a way of cataloging his personal, meaningful experiences and really holding them close, reflecting on them and giving them space in his soul. And I think you'll see that what each star represents as you read further if you end up picking up the book.
That's all we have for Who Reads Story on our episode about Yoon Dong-ju and his poem, Sky, Wind, Star, and Poem. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us,
Thanks
Jack.
for having me again.
And we will see you next week with our new episode on Who Reads Story. Don't forget to leave a comment and a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for being here with us. Goodbye.